Spartans! What is your profession? This is Sparta! Sparta!
What is going on, everybody? We're back at another stream. So before we get into it too far in, let me just get the fun part out. Obviously, we're streaming from YouTube and Facebook. Is your first time on this channel, first time joining us, first time anything, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. So except that, let me get my first guest in here because he's actually early versus everybody else who always runs fucking late on me. But let's get Sean in here really fast. All right, hey Sean, what's going on, my man?
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, you're nice and clear, brother.
Beautiful, beautiful. How's
All right,
everything
long
going?
time, pretty
Tell
good.
me
Long
about it.
time, long time. You guys
Yeah,
say
man, I took a hiatus.
there's nothing wrong with that, man. Sometimes you need a
I
little mental break from this stuff.
absolutely, absolutely. It's just, and it was my birthday. It was my daughter's birthday. I was able to spend some time with my mother. It was a great thing. I went to Florida. My
Hmm.
mother was in Florida visiting, and my daughter came to Florida to visit the same weekend. So I wound up spending time with them, and then we went and saw some other family members that live in
Okay.
Florida. So yeah, it was a good time. It was a great thing.
Dude, honestly, I thought you didn't have no kids. You're Mr. Bachelorette, always rocking the Peacock girls.
Oh man, nah, not at all. That's how I got the name Peacock by not by not being a bachelor, showing my wing. Now my daughter's one of my daughters is 30, and then I have she just turned 30, so I went and celebrated her 30th birthday.
Nice,
And
nice,
and my
nice.
youngest is 20, and then I have another one that's 27.
Huh? So I know me and you talked about off camera a little bit. You want to give everybody an update? What's going on with the business you're working on?
Absolutely. H2O. You see that H2O, CBD infused water. Yeah, we actually are out here in Southern California primarily. It's a CBD infused water. I don't have a bottle in front of me, but before we get off, I will have one so I can show everyone. Um, but yeah, we just got distribution, another distribution company. We're in LAX, we're in Union Square, we're in 7-Elevens, we're in local liquor stores, smoke shops, gyms. Um, Restaurants, and it's the only CBD. It's the lowest price CBD on the marketplace with a sticker price of $1.99.
Really, that's
And
cheap.
right, yep, and right now we're in Los Angeles primarily, and we're branching off. We are up in the Bay. We do have so um, It's a smoke shop that we have out there. We also have some smoke shops in New
Mm-hmm.
York and some in Michigan. So those are the places where we are right now. But we're primarily in Los Angeles, Southern California specifically. And like I said, if it's not in the 7-Eleven, ask them about it and they can order it. If it's not in a liquor store out here, our bodegas, just the regular stores are called liquor stores out here.
Okay.
So it's not like in New York, it's just strict liquor, or I don't know if it's just the East Coast, but New York, it's a liquor store. They only sell liquor. Well, out here, liquor stores actually sell. They're like a bodega or a corner market where they sell food, liquor, chips. They sell a variety of stuff. It's like a convenience
I
store.
think it's dependent on the state. I know Pennsylvania, bodegas cannot sell any kind of liquor or beer. They have to have a liquor and beer license to sell anything like that. But
Right.
in New
And
York, it's a little different.
right. And that's why I'm saying it because when I say liquor store, I keep forgetting that it has a different definition other places.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm giving the definition. It's not a bodega, but it's similar to a
Mm-hmm.
bodega, the liquor stores out here. They actually sell liquor, beer, sodas, drinks, potato chips, food, little convenience stuff, battery, all types of stuff that bodegas would sell. It has a similar premise, but they call them liquor stores out here because that's the title. So when I first came out here, for example, and I was like, "Yo," they was like, "Yeah, go to the liquor store and let's get some candy." And I was like, "Liquor store?" I was underage, under 18. I'm like, "Liquor store? What are you talking about? Go to a liquor store? Yeah, go right to the corner and get some." And I'm like, and it was a foreign thing to me. But out here, yes, those are how the liquor stores are described. And we're selling our water H2O out there in the liquor stores, in the smoke shops, in the gyms, and a couple of dispensaries
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature.
Man, whenever you want to, throw, a like kind of like a. Do you guys do online stuff too or no?
We haven't been heavily online because we've been having our foot to the ground trying getting more stores. So I am excited because today Santa Monica Distribution, if you're a store out in Los Angeles that buys from Santa Monica Distribution, you can now purchase our water in Santa Monica Distribution. So that's something that we secured today, and so I'm excited about it. Like I said, along with we're in about 30, 40 7-Elevens out here. We're in a number of, like I said, liquor stores or convenience stores. We're in some gyms. We're in some health food stores. We're in some restaurants. So, yeah, that's where we are.
Like I said to you last time, bro, if you want to sponsor the show for one night and promote the thing, I'll be more than happy to work with you, bro.
And I would love to. I just, like I said, I'm trying to get it together to be able to
Yeah.
give you the proper tools necessary to do it well. We could talk about it offline because I don't know what you'll need because I haven't really done it, but definitely I'm interested in doing it. So
Yeah, like we talk offline later because I'm like I think we can come up with something of both benefits. It won't cost us almost nothing for each other, but I think it benefit both of us to get our name out there. I think that's what the
uh,
goal is. So, Sean, let me ask you a question.
yes, sir.
In your lifetime, do you believe change is necessary?
I believe without change, we're stagnant. Change is in our lifetime. Change is always necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Change is the essence to maturity. So if you plan on being mature, not growing old and just having age on you, change is necessary. So absolutely, I change every day. I just had this conversation about change earlier today with a good friend of mine. And if we're not changing, we're not growing.
I agree. So evolve, in other words, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I believe change is necessary on a daily basis. For example, I know this is a bad example, but I'm going to use it. If you put your hand on a stove, a hot stove, you're going to burn your hand, right?
Right.
So you keep doing that day after day after day. What's the only thing you learned so far? How to burn your hand.
Hmm.
So, and then you was like, hey, maybe I should not put my hand on the stove to change your routine a little bit. Ding! I know that's
Yep.
a bad example, but let's go off. Let's start with that for a second. Change. Why do we need change so much in life? Like I know since I have involved, definitely the last 3 or 4 years, definitely the last 2 years, I have changed so much about myself, from the way I handle situations, even losing my temper, to how I talk to people,
Right.
even how to approach people. Sometimes
Right.
saying, you know, thinking about, oh, they're having, oh, he doesn't like. No, wait. Maybe it's not. He doesn't. It's not. He does not like me. Maybe he's just having a bad day, or he just hates his goddamn job sometimes too. There's a lot of
Yeah.
factors there. So
Absolutely.
let's start off with that. What do you think so far?
I mean, I agree. I mean, like I said, if you don't change, you sit still. And if you sit still, it's almost like you're rotting, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. And so the evolution is necessary. Like I said, uh, change is the essence of maturity. Maturation, the essence of maturation is change. So if we don't have it, get stuck in our ways. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand the value of it. And that's kind of why I'm glad we're having a conversation. And I was glad to join today, and get back today while you were speaking about this topic, because I have a lot to offer in reference to my opinion on how important change is in our lives, for us to grow, for us to mature, for us to, I mean, I, I mean, it's the essence of everything we do. There shouldn't be a time when we're not changing. Our body changes without us all the time.
That's a great example. Our bodies change. So look at me, gray hairs, for example. And you have a shiny head.
Shiny hair, and you have shorter hair from when we first met. That's
That
it.
is a better example.
Significant change.
Yeah, and like I had a long beard, hair was like down to here.
Yeah.
Like, I used to get all the time like, when are you gonna get a fucking haircut and shave and look like a human being? I finally did, and people look up, but nobody knew the reasons behind it. Did I ever tell you the reasons behind it? What?
I think you have, but why don't you remind me?
Refreshing. So, ours, my mother has stage 3 colon cancer. I have been very public about it. Nothing to scare or hide that. I grew my hair out so I can donate it. So, and I did that. The beard was mostly for me to grow to get her motivated. I did it for 3 years. Her cancer came back, went back and forth, back and forth. So we're at the point now they're leaning her off again. So now I can look like a human being again. So we're the doctor's saying they're this time this we don't think the cancer will come back because how well the treatments are coming. Her doctor also said it is very common. Colon cancer, stage 1, 2, or 3, will come back for one time, and then you have to go through the process again. And this is where we're at. We're meeting her. So, but I want to read a quote to you a second. I got a couple of quotes I want to go over, and I want kind of everybody's, I was being you opinion to everybody's join us. People are like, a little slow sometimes. The only way, to make sense out of a change is to plug into a move with it and join the dance. Let me get your feedback on that.
Well, I mean, I like the analogy to join into the dance, because a lot of times we're on the outside looking at people dance
Mm-hmm.
and not really understanding how to do it. Sometimes not feeling secure enough to attempt to do it because we don't want to fail, because we aren't familiar with it, or we're uncomfortable. And part of what that quote is suggesting, what I suggest as well, is go ahead and jump in. The worst thing you could do is be offbeat, fall, trip a little, but the best thing you could do is have the experience that you've tried, and you changed your perspective on looking from the outside and actually joining in.
That's funny you say that. The reason I say that is I don't know about you when you were a young bachelorette. I was a very shy bachelorette.
Uh,
Always was very shy with one of the women.
you said bachelor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I was a bachelor, I was very shy, and I was still shy. I'm still shy when it comes to a woman. I would never go up to her like, I see her at the grocery store. I see a cute woman go up to her like, "Hi, you see me taking a left." I would never go up there. I never.
Yeah.
But some guys have the whole ball. But my point is trying to get there is it's okay to be the shy guy. But eventually, as I'm getting older, like, man, I can go say hi to somebody, and I was like, have one of the like the hands shivering, like shaking, like great example. I met my crush from as a kid. My crush was Trish Stratus, for the wrestling chick. So when I met her, I know this is a famous person and everything. So I had her crush for two reasons. One, she's smoking hot. Number two,
Okay.
she's Greek and smoking hot. Do I
Uh-huh.
need that anymore? You know how I say, oh, as age goes older, they look a little, right? No, she
Uh-huh.
got better looking. I know you've seen her. Anyway, so I met her, and like, she goes to me, "Why are you shaking so bad?" Like, I gotta go. Even to that, and like, if I don't know what came over me. I was shaking like a fucking leaf, bro. I'm like,
Wow.
but that's not okay. That's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. But that made me, that experience over. Next time I'm gonna see her again probably because I go to Comic Cons all the time. You know that. And
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go up to her. Do you remember me who were shaking? And she goes like, probably not. This is gonna say. But
Uh-huh.
hey, Swiss Striders, if you want a Greek Spartan, come say hi. Just say hi. My girlfriend won't care. She you don't mind saying hi. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And I know I'm gonna pay for that later somehow. But seriously,
So
joking aside,
so how how
good.
how did you meet your girlfriend with the shyness that you're referring to?
Just I don't want to say she's very a private person. I don't want to say too much because she's gonna throw probably a sandal at me later or something. We met through work. We were
Okay, cool.
talking, and we were talking and talking, and I
So
was very shy.
you met
Casual,
casually through conversation.
exactly. Every person I have met in my life was casual talking, and like I never went up to hey or kind of like maybe one or two people like that, but most people was just bullshitting like hey how are you, and then next minute we're just having a conversation, and I became friends with them or some or associates or whatever the case is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Mhm.
Yeah. Like even to this day, I do get shy still, believe it or not. And I remember when I turned that camera for the first time. You can go back and see my first video.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I was nervous as a motherfucker.
Really. I feel
Yeah.
like I was on when you first showed you, because you always used to be on without the camera on, or you would be in the comments um, saying, hitting everybody up on the comments, and then you transition
So
to coming up without uh, showing yourself, and then you transition into showing yourself. All of those changes I remember.
so when I first started coming around with the actual purchase or real purchase, I can't remember. I always
Real
mix her name.
precious.
The real
Real
purchase, the real
precious.
yeah. And I was always a common person. Again, me and King are actual friends in real life. I've been at his house. I've been
Oh,
hanged
okay.
out with him. I know his daughter. I know his girlfriend. I have met all these people in real life.
Hmm.
So I remember him making a comment like, "Yo, I wish you had a phone line, bro." Like I was like on the phone line, I'm straight. I can. He goes, "Jump on, dude." He goes, I don't know about that much. He goes like, "Come on," he hits me up on the side. I go, "Stop being a pussy and get on the goddamn camera." I'll go, "Okay, I can do this." And once I got in there, I was like, okay, this is not as bad because you
Hmm.
don't. I keep forgetting you can see everybody. Like I see you like in the back chat like we are right now,
Hmm.
but I don't. I cannot see everybody through the other side. When you
Hmm.
put me on a stage, like let's say okay, I have a speech for example, or I had to explain something like a whatever, right? And that gets me very nervous. And like I see all the in an auditorium and everybody's looking down on you, and like oh
Hmm.
a thousand eyes, like I'm like yeah, I'm good. Now I'm so used to the camera. Now I don't even. I don't care. I don't. I see a light and you. That's it. I don't. I see the comments come here on this side and on my other screen here, but that's it. I'm like, it doesn't bother me anymore. And like, I kind of grew. Maybe I got immune to it. I think. What do you think?
Well, you get comfortable once you. It's kind of like getting in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Once you jump in, you adapt to your surroundings or you adapt to the temperature. And so here, once you get in, you kind of adapt to it, and it becomes second nature. You forget that there's a camera there. You're just engaging in the conversation, and that is pretty normal for most people. They don't always focus or hone in on the fact that they're recording or being recorded, and so therefore, yeah, that comfort level or that discomfort level, it kind of eliminates itself.
And this next quote, I liked it because I think it explains exactly what you're just saying. Like it says, "Your life does not get better by change; it gets better by change." Because how I take it, maybe you take it a little different. If you don't, it doesn't change because you want it to. You have to change to make it better.
This is true.
Yeah,
You
because for
you
example, go ahead, go ahead, go first.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you think about it, there's nothing that evolves,
Mm-hmm.
as you used earlier, without that change. And evolution is mandatory.
Thank you. I have a saying, and I swear up and down. Do you remember when on my channel on the channel I was doing Motivation Mondays for a while? I don't know if you remember that.
I know, but continue.
Okay, I was doing Motivation Mondays. So I came up with this quote. Nobody made it. This is me created it on my own. My quote is go as is. You can go up the mountain. You're gonna climb it, climb it. Eventually, you're gonna fall down the mountain. We all fall eventually. As you're falling, you're not gonna roll backwards. You're gonna roll forward. As you're rolling, you go, oh, I fucked up here. I fucked up here. I fucked up here. As you're rolling, you're gonna see your mistakes. So when you land, you're not gonna land on your ass, on your head. You're gonna land on your back and go back straight up. So this time, you're not gonna make the same mistake twice. You're gonna make it only once.
Okay, I understand that.
It's my unique little quote because we all make mistakes, but we have to learn from our mistakes. That's where I think change comes in the best when we do not make the same mistake twice.
And
What do you
it's
think?
funny you say that because I agree, but I find that that's an issue with a lot of people in this day and age, especially in 2024, with being able to one acknowledge or recognize that the mistake was made, in what they call accountability in this, in this current time, but two, um, learning from it. That's a real critical portion that a lot of people can identify, recognize the mistake,
Mm-hmm.
but don't do anything to change. And what happens is that they continue the cycle, becomes a cycle and a pattern. And they will continue that pattern or continue that cycle because they don't recognize that it's necessary to change to get out of that pattern. They don't even recognize that it is a pattern because they are so comfortable within that those actions, and that's really detrimental. And it, like I said, it doesn't provoke. It doesn't advocate growing, and growing and changing are synonymous. And I again, maturity. A lot of people age, and people think that maturity comes with age. Maturity comes with mentality, and
Totally agree.
part of that mentality is understanding that to grow, you need to change, and to change is the essence of moving forward and having more in any circumstance.
So, if you had to say the most significant change in life, what would that be?
Awareness,
Awareness.
understanding that change is necessary. For me personally, that's what has been the most significant change in my life, is understanding how necessary it is. Understanding that we won't we won't We will die changing and growing if we are aware to do so. But we can also die without any change in the mind specifically because our bodies are going to change without us, as I said earlier. That's why I say mentality is so important because our bodies, we got the gray hairs, we lose, uh, contour in our muscles, and we a lot of things change whether we like our hairs and our ears grow and our nose grow, and even when we pass away and leave this body, our hair still grow and it's changing. So we have to really be aware of how important an evolution is and how necessary it is, whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Hmm. And I think that's very important to acknowledge. So I want to touch base what you said. Maturity does not come with age; it comes with experience. I
Mentality.
want to say mentality.
Well,
Mentality and experience. I would say.
the reason why I don't use experience because we go through a lot
Okay.
of experiences and don't always uh, have the mentality to
Hmm.
change. You know, we have an experience today and tomorrow. That don't mean that that experience is gonna afford us change or afford us growth. But continue to your point. I'm sorry.
So in my case, I had to mature very young because of my mother's health. My mother's health been decreasing very at a very young age. In her defense, she had me at an older age. So I had to mature very faster then because of the experiences I had to do. For example, I had to take her to the doctors. I had to speak to the doctors because she's now she was bilingual in English. She's more in Greek, and so on. So my mature level versus somebody else my age, even younger when I was in my 20s, my mature level was here versus most 20 years of here. They want to go out party, having fun, getting drunk. I was up here saying I gotta go to work in the morning, then pay the medication, pay the mortgage. I had more a mentality I should have now. I had back in my 20s. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think that has a big thing to do with it, and I think that is where it comes to it too. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's another. Let me jump into the next question. Maybe let's talk about careers for a minute here before we get too far. Uh, just FYI, Sean, you put the good evening thing in the back chat, not the front chat.
Oh, okay. My fault.
I'm like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, why is he saying good news? We already spoke about that part.
Okay.
Careers. Let's talk about that for a second. What is it time to change? You think in somebody's career needs to change, life change?
I mean,
I
let
know
me
you've
let me
had
say
several
this.
times like that,
I've
correct?
had several times in rejuvenations, and I currently work a job where I find a lot of people who don't understand change. People
Mm-hmm.
who've been on the job for decades, almost over a quarter of a century, sometimes a half a century, and are comfortable there. And my running joke within me is I don't ever want to get to the point where I can retire, where I can be at that place where they're saying, "Oh, you've been here for 25 years." Oh no, I mean, yes, for consistency purposes, but no, for change purposes. Something has to change. I cannot just be sitting in one place. And I tell them, and I joke with the old timers, and I say old in reference to their tenure at the job, not their
Our
age.
pain.
No, that's age. He's just old age. Ain't
I
got
gotta
nothing to
throw his
do with the
shots at him.
job.
He knows that. Our pain.
Yeah,
I love our pain to death. He's very knowledgeable. He has a lot to give us and a lot to
absolutely.
But I gotta throw my shots at him once in a while.
Yeah, yeah, we got love, nothing but love for you, RP. We love messing with him and jarring with him. But yeah, so the point being is that yeah, there's so many people. So job, me personally, I need it because I have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Hmm.
Whether I'm working or not, I don't ever say that I'm working for anyone. I say I'm working with them because I don't ever feel like it's anything otherwise. We're working with one another. And that's because that's my mindset. And so with my mindset, I don't ever feel like, I think without the change, and this is what concerns me of that, is that you start feeling comfortable as if nothing can happen. Like you rely too heavily on that job, so to speak. And I have been through three mergers, three companies that I worked with that merged. And while we had success and we were building and we were having, there was nothing as far as on the surface that could have prompted us closing the company down. They did anyway. They changed the direction that they were going. Closed down the company. One went bankrupt, and one just merged with another company as well. And so, because I've been through those changes and those experiences, it's hard for me to rely and not tell people and understand that don't get too comfortable and settled in where you start taking it for granted the job. So
I
that's
want to touch
why I
base on
need to
that actually.
change. Go ahead.
So I made it very public clear. I have at least one person in the chat right now. Mariana, me and her used to work together. I was at the hospital, a healthcare worker for 3.5 years, maybe a little more. All right, I got very comfortable there. I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very comfortable there. I wasn't happy. I was comfortable. Two different things, by the way.
Hmm.
So towards the end, I never said this out in public. I'm gonna say it to her. She doesn't even know this. I was nervous to leave, kind of scared almost,
Hmm.
because what happened? I'm not good enough somewhere else. Because that was beating in my head from my manager. You're not good enough. My manager looked at me and says, "You're not good enough to be even in this kitchen. I'm doing you a favor having you here." I'm like, "The fuck, man! I just busted my fucking ass doing 100 something people by myself." So that got in your head. You can't help it sometimes. The fear of change is a real thing. Can you both agree on that? Me and you today?
It's a real thing, absolutely. I try and challenge people not to be afraid of anything, other than um, whoever you pray to, if you do that. But I don't. I try and advocate because fear to me, uh, like when a person lies, I say only reason why a person lies is because they're afraid of something. And I just can't advocate being afraid because I've been in so many circumstances where things have been taken away from me without any merit whatsoever. So fairness is not even an option that I think about. I don't think that it's going to be fair or that life is fair. I think that life is a bunch of curveballs and it's about how well you hit. And that
Mm-hmm.
change is understanding the change up of the pitch on whether you can hit it or not. And so you got to be prepared for however they throw that pitch in life, however the Lord throws it, and you got to be able to try and not strike out. And that's how I approach it.
Exactly. Um, I challenge myself now. After me leaving the hospital, I'm not scared anymore to take a challenge
Hmm.
because the last year, 2 years, I've been through my own headaches, getting fired, bad management, good management, all that stuff. But one thing I realized, I always came on top because I don't give up. I keep fighting and fighting and fighting. My favorite quote is from a Rocky Balboa. I think there was a movie, one of the Rocky movies.
Right.
Um, he goes, "Life hits hard," and he goes, "It's going to hit hard. Is a measure. I don't know the word. I can't remember the exact word to T. But pretty much we're saying, life is gonna hit hard, but you're gonna have to get up and fight back.
Hmm.
The challenge question is, are you ready to fight back? That's my little added, of course.
Right. And that's a good question. And that's what I ask people all the time, especially when we're speaking about change. Are you ready for it? Are you ready to get up from it? Are you ready to get out of that comfort zone that you sit so comfortably in?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I advocate that all the time. And again, I'm glad you brought up the job. I didn't realize how much of an effect that had on me. But I go through my job now and I, like I said, I'm working with them, and they be trying to pull rank and get you afraid. Oh, you'll get fired. I'm like, yo, what's the worst that can happen? I lose my job. I mean, I've done that, been there a few times.
Same here.
So
We all have been
I don't
fired.
even, right. So I don't even concern myself. And I've been like I said, I lost a job when we were on top of the world. Like you couldn't see it coming. But what I would say is that one of my biggest lessons was when I resigned from Interscope Records. And they were wondering, why you resign? Why you ain't? Because really, technically, I was the head of the department. And when I was telling them that I was resigning, they was like, what do you want? And I was like, I want to resign. And the reason being is because I got back into the industry because I was having a daughter. You know, I was already in the industry as an artist, but I left to do just to get out of it because it's a shallow business and I didn't like it, and I found myself changing in the wrong way because of the industry. So I just left and wanted to have a normal life again. I've done this quite a few times in my life where I felt like things I wanted to be normal, and I felt like I gave you can say give up, but I just changed it. So anyway, moving forward, I did it for my daughter. Now my daughter and her mother moved out to California. That didn't work out with us, and so they moved back to New York. And here I was. My father was living at the time, but he had passed away through colon cancer. And in my because of that, I was like, there's no reason for me to be in LA anymore. My father was my reason when he was alive. Now my father's gone and my daughter's gone. So when they were asking me, why are you resigning? Why am I? Because I want to be with my daughter. I got in this to be with my daughter and so that's what I did. I resigned from Interscope out here on the West Coast and moved to the East Coast. I wound up getting a job um, with EMI Records. Just started a new department. We was doing Prince and AZ and quite a few, having a lot of successes. And then EMI merged with Virgin. Literally, I was on my way to work. I was on a train, and across from me, somebody was reading the newspaper, and the headline was EMI shuts down. I'm on my way to EMI to my job. And it just so happened that was the day before my birthday. That's why I remember it so vividly. So I'm literally on my way to my office looking at a headline telling me that I don't have a job. So when you get through that type of change or that type of you know blow, so to speak, unexpected blow in life, and you get through that, it became one of the biggest blessings that I could have ever have. I mean, and I can get into that differently, but that's where my faith is so strong because of that experience and those changes that happened in my life. So yeah.
Fun fact on the side, a little bit. I don't know. You probably know this. Virgin Records is humongous overseas, and definitely like in Greece. Like that's that number one record label you want to get signed by.
Right. And it's funny because I never worked with Virgin. They merged. This was prior to Branford getting the label or the having it, but they merged and um, took over the whole EMI, and then I wound up getting a job at A&M Records, and I was running a department over there, and then A&M merged with Interscope and Geffen. So at that point, I was part of three mergers, all of which we were doing great. So I lost three jobs that I was doing excellent at. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say I, am just not talking myself. I'm talking myself and the departments that I worked with, and the people, the urban departments that we had revitalized. For example, the merge that let me tell you what was the song that I was working when we merged A&M to Geffen and Interscope. We Be Clubbing. You ever heard of that song? We
Sounds
Be Clubbing
familiar.
by Ice Cube.
Oh yeah.
Right. We took that song platinum, and our reward was the merger and us all losing our jobs. And
Before we
mind
move
you,
on, before we
yes.
move on, now I have that as a personal favor. What's the chance of you bringing some of those, some of your buddies on this show? You giving reviews, a little promotion here.
They're not my buddies. Like I said
Slim it to
earlier,
none.
it's a shallow industry. Those people are not my buddies. Some people who are my buddies, I don't know if you want them on the show, but people I gravitated and kept relationships and
Hmm.
forged relationships with over the time. Um,
So the reason I'm asking, I'll be straight. I've been
mhm,
wanting to do this show, but I've been waiting for you to come on. I was waiting for my another guy I work with on Black Man Network, JT. I want to do a show called The Evolution of Music.
mhm,
And who is better to do evolution of music than a person who actually lived the industry? You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
I can talk
Well,
about it as a fan, but you worked in it.
right, and so I can guarantee that I'll join you, but any of those celebrities. See, I said it's a shallow industry about three times now, and part of the shallowness are
Mm-hmm.
the characters, some of those artists. And I'm not going to, point anybody out that
No, you don't have
directly,
to.
but I will say that realness, is a lot of people speak on, and keeping it real is not something that runs rampant in this industry. It's Hollywood and it's a facade, is what I will say to that. In
So,
fairness,
go ahead.
I was going to say, in fairness, a lot of people change around them. I will
Mm-hmm.
give them that. See, I've been an artist, so I can understand, how they say, oh, you changed. A lot of times they didn't change, but how people react and you know, uh, react with them and engage with them has changed because now they're looking at them differently as a superstar. So, in fairness, they don't always, quote unquote, change. People around them change, and that segues us right back into the topic. So go ahead.
So, I want to touch base with that before we move back to our original topic. So, I have been to, oh man, I don't know how many cons at this point. New York Comic Con is my event. I go every year. That is my event. So, long story short, I met a couple of guys. Like, I want to touch one person specifically who I thought was very shallow, and he was what's the word I'm looking for? A piece of shit. Um, do you remember Star Trek any chance? Next Generation.
Next generation, not as
Yes.
much as Star Trek the original, but go ahead.
Okay, Star Trek Next Generation. He's number one, second in command. I can't remember the guy's name. Life depended on me right now. So I met him. I was it wasn't a New York Comic Con. It was a Trekkie con, just for Trek. So I reached out to shake his hand. Shook my hand, fine. And we're just, I'm saying like I just want, he's signing my autograph. As you signing out, you want to bullshit with the guy for a few minutes. This motherfucker ignored me the whole time. I'm paying money, by the way, for this. I mean, money be there, and I'm paying money at the table for my autograph. And he's just bullshitting his agent like, yeah. I'm like, but I'm paying you. You could at least acknowledge and say hi to me. Not even that. You get those people sometimes. The Pink Ranger, for example, the original Pink Ranger, same thing with her. Very shadow. She goes, sign my autograph, click, click, move, next. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of harsh. But you know what's ones I actually met, actor-wise? Not even actor, I can't even say that. Who actually were the sweetest guys you met at any convention? Who do you think it were?
The more tenured people, people who have been there for a long time.
Wrestlers.
Oh, okay.
WWE wrestlers, because all of them have to go through their paces. They have to go through development. They have to go through the indie scenes. They have to go through. You can't go. Okay, I'm going to wrestle. I'll be on WWE tomorrow. Hey, Dad, make a phone call for me. It doesn't work that even third generation. Right on, he had to go through his own paces. Freaking The Rock, he had to go through his own paces. He didn't get, here's your belt. They actually were the sweetest people you met. I met last year. I met what's his name? Matt Hardy.
Hmm.
The guy it took 5 to 10 minutes to say hi to me. He goes, he couldn't spend a line because he had a big line. I understand that. I will show respect where it's due. He had a line. I get that, but he took 5, maybe 10 tops to just say hi to me. Did you
Hmm.
blow me off? Wow, that's
Well, the unfortunate reality to that, from being on the other side, the business side, is that it becomes a business, especially when it comes to the Comic Cons and the autograph signing.
of
And
course.
and unfortunately, sometimes it's kind of like a learnt behavior or learnt reaction. And I don't know. Put yourself. I ask you to put yourself on the other side of it. Um, you have about let's say for the last 10 days been sitting down, signing hundreds, sometimes thousands of autographs.
I absolutely. I
You
get it.
know,
They're beat up.
at times, I'm not making an excuse. I'm just giving another perspective on to possibly change your perspective. An asshole is an asshole, but what you just described, I don't always account as an asshole. Sometimes they're numb to business, so they're so robotic in what they're doing that they sometimes lose their humanity in speaking with folks in that setting. Now, if you would have said that outside of that setting, different scenario. But in that setting, sometimes it becomes, like if you ever worked at a grocery store and you were packing bags, you might just be packing bags, and you're in that. And somebody say, "How you doing today?" And you're just packing your bag, and might not respond to them in a.
I totally agree with 100%. And I have put myself like, maybe she's having a bad day that day. I'll give you a better example. My buddy, Pop Culture Warrior, CQ. He he's not a fan of the Blue Ranger, the original Blue Ranger, because he has spoken to a couple times and he goes, "Nope, I'm good. I don't want to interview. I don't want a picture. Nothing." Okay, cool. That's his right. Me, when I met him, he was the sweetest guy in the world to me. So he might be having a bad day those days that CQ's meeting him, and I might call him on a good day, and that is a possibility.
Now, let me ask you this: the two times, did you ask for an autograph?
I actually met him twice in one day. So the one time I got an autograph, and the second time I got a double picture with the Black Ranger, the Ranger, and him together. They were joking around with me actually. They were because
Well, the Black Ranger, he's a cool cat. Uh,
100%.
you know, I've met him on a couple of occasions outside of just, I didn't even know he was a Ranger. I didn't follow any of that. And that's why I'm saying some of the things that I'm saying, because I have seen and met some of these people outside of that environment. And basically, they're at work. And although you think their job is to be social, a lot of times they're not looking at that aspect of their job. They're looking at how quickly they can finish getting through that long line.
100% agree. 100%. I'm not
Mm,
disagreeing on that because
yeah.
they're there to make because some of them are not making movies anymore. Some of them are not making music. Some of them are not even wrestling anymore. The only kind of money they have is when they're doing events like these. That's why
Right.
if good example actually. I met Mr. The Million Dollar Man, Teddy Biasi.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. That. Uh-huh.
and then it was Jake the Snake and Lex Luthor. All right. When I say they have fallen from grace, is an understatement. They were so humble for me to get an autograph and just say hi to them. Definitely, Puff Dude. I don't know if you remember him. When I went up to get his autograph,
Puff dude.
he was from WCW.
Oh, okay.
He had to wear a really big hat. He used to wear thin goatee, great shape, by the way. And I asked him, I'm like, excuse me, I'm like, can I get an autograph? He goes, yeah, come on. He jumped up. He's literally, I thought he was gonna suplex me for a minute. That's how happy he got. I'm like, oh, oh, okay. Like, I was taken back from it because I seen other people get excited, meet fans, and all that stuff. But he was in the next level. The first person I ever met was the original Red Ranger, and you can tell from his eyes. That's how I know when they're not bullshitting me or not, or they're work mode, bullshitting, or they actually mean it. I looked him right in his eyes. I was talking to him about, I'm becoming martial arts. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He goes, you guys opened up like, that's cool. And he's a martial arts himself and everything. And he took it, he enjoyed talking. Meeting his friend, he's very humble. Very humble. And I respect that.
Well, another thing you just mentioned that can add to that is martial arts. It teaches you a certain type of discipline and respect. And so if you go through those exercises and those learning experiences, it can change you from being, part of, martial arts is never underestimate your opponent, which is saying be
Absolutely.
humble at all times. Uh, Always respect what your opponent can do, even whether you know it or not. You have to respect it. So there's a lot of disciplinary mentalities that go through those practices and those exercises. Not to mention that a lot of your routines and exercises are all about disciplining your body. Horse
100%.
stance, you
100%.
know,
I'm not disagreeing.
yeah. So the different routines that you have to go
Mm-hmm.
through, they're just memory and discipline and learning them. So that in itself prepares you for some of the personalities that you are describing. But let's go back to the entertainers who don't have those. There, one of my managers used to say, he was like, "Yo, Sean, if you tell somebody, if somebody is told that that they're super and they're great and they're wonderful and they're the greatest thing to ever live, over 100 times a day, 1,000 times a day, sooner or later they're gonna believe it. So expect a big head."
Oh, yeah. Some are big heads are an understatement. There's no fucking big head enough hat to fit that big head of theirs. Um, but okay, I'll give you another example. I met recently Brett Williams, great comedian. Um, he was he couldn't sit there and bullshit me because he had a line, but he took a 5-10 minutes to talk to you guys, to each person who wanted to meet him. He
Hmm.
said, "I'll be in the back. I'm giving autographs. I have shirts. I got merch, all this stuff. If you don't want to buy anything, don't have to. If you want to come up and just shake my hand, I'm okay with that too. I gotta give him credit when it's due, bro." And so that's really comment really found from Cash here. So Cash says, there is a saying, all the good does not guilt, especially in the music industry and in Hollywood. I watch a lot of documentaries that a lot of those celebrities don't have a have it easy now. All right, Sean, this is the more you department. What do you got to say about that?
Repeat the last part because what was?
Yeah, let me push back up. What part
Hold
I
on. Let
lost you?
me let me let me see if I could read it myself.
All right,
No, it's not scroll.
let me read it again.
Yeah, please.
The whole thing.
You can. I'm gonna try and read along with you.
Okay. There is a saying: "All that gold does not uh, g-
Oh,
grill,
glitter,
grill."
glitter.
Thank you.
See, the problem is the quote is everything that glitters isn't gold, is the saying. But continue.
Especially in the music industry and in Hollywood. I watch a lot of documentaries about celebrities that don't have it easy. Have it easy, even now.
Yeah, everything that glitters isn't gold, and yeah, it is Hollywood, and Hollywood is a perception-based business, and so they live and they give a perception, and that perception isn't always reality, and in being in the industry, I've learned that very directly and close up, where that's the reason why I'm not as ambitious when it comes to money and accolades, is because I've known some friends who have been that ambitious and achieved it, and aren't really that happy, aren't really that content, and so I learned that money doesn't bring happiness. So to your point, when I did have money and fame and things of that nature, I always stayed humble, and I think that was always something that kept me well balanced. Uh, but I never got rich. But I feel like if I would have gotten rich or wealthy, um, I might have fallen victim to some of the what do you call those? Some of the
Traps.
pressures, yeah, traps or pressures that you receive in being in that industry, trying to live up to the perception, trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. And, it's just unfortunately, that's how that's how people are, you know?
Yes. My issue with it goes actually goes with change too. I believe people trying to change themselves to pretend to see those Instagram people or those Facebook people or their favorite YouTubers, and they see their perfect life to go like, hey guys, whatever, right? But in real life, that's not how their life is. Their life is might be struggling. I'll give a little feedback for you guys who don't know how the YouTube world works. I'm not monetized yet, but when I do get monetized, you really think I'm gonna make all this money and I can quit my full time job and do this all the time? Full time. I can stream 7 days a week. No. At first, it's pennies, literally pennies when you make. I took one of my buddies. He's been doing it for 4 years. He's only making $5, $5 a month. So you got everybody who thinks this YouTube thing is easy. It's not. Number one. Number two is people want to change how their favorite YouTuber lives their life, but you forget they might have a full time job and everything else. What do you think, Sean?
That's always the case. I mean, it's pretty frequent that that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said earlier, it's a perception. Understanding Hollywood is just that. It's almost like a fairy tale or Never Never Land. And so I'm kind of used to it, and I don't have any expectations. I think that's where the disappointments that you were describing come in, because you have an expectation. You expect them to be nice. You expect them to be cordial. You expect them to be charismatic, considerate, and things that you've seen them be on television. But that is, again, television, and it's part of Hollywood. And when I say Hollywood and television, I'm not speaking of just actors and actresses, entertainment in general, whether it's sports entertainment, which we were speaking about with wrestlers, and
Mm-hmm.
some athletes, whether it's the music entertainment or television and film, and now politics, is an entertaining field. So when you think of it from that, because I've been in it and I kind of grew up in it, 3/4 of my life, my expectations are a lot different than the average person. And all I would say is don't have any expectations for these people being anything anything, period. And you probably won't ever have a disappointment because you will prepare. If they're great, they will be super great
So
because you go ahead.
I don't know. Finish your thoughts, please.
No, I was just going to say if they're great, they're going to be super great. If they're an asshole, it's not going to affect you as much because you're going to, you're already prepared. Like, oh, okay, well, unfortunately, he's
So
an asshole.
Tommy Oliver, the original White Ranger. This is he went. His real name is David J. Frank. Unfortunately, he passed from suicide. I think 2 years ago was it? But I got a chance to meet him before all this happened. Before his life got destroyed. So
Hmm.
I used to follow him. I was a huge fan of his because of his martial art career, mostly because he kind of inspired me a little bit to be straight up. Anyway, so I had him on this high goddamn fucking pedestal. is higher than goddamn fucking Olympus. And when I met him, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So when I met him, he was kind of like a little bit of an asshole to me, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
And now that a couple years later, I had time to think about it. Like get my boy CQ. He actually met him personally. He goes, he was super nice to me. But I think I thought back after me and CQ talked. I go, he was going through a bad ankle injury. I can remember he it was from a kick or something. I remember, but he's the only person I ever paid. I can rephrase that. Somebody gave it to me as a gift. A professional picture. You can get a selfie with your phone or a professional picture as cons. Have you ever been to a con, Sean?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Okay, so you know how the routine is then.
Hmm.
So for anyone who's not been to a con, is you can get option to take a selfie for I think $5 to $10, or you get a professional, literally big camera, and you print it right there and they give it to you. I'm actually looking right over my screen. I have it. So anyway, long story short, the first part of it, it was like, the hell? Came out left a little sour taste in my mouth. As I'm coming around the corner, that he did this professional. He's rolling his ankle. Like, oh, my ankle's bothering me, kind of thing. He took a picture, went on, and a couple years later, like me and Mike were talking about, maybe he was not being an asshole. Maybe he was really being paid, and it was a bad time I met him. That's a possibility. Do you agree or disagree?
I wholeheartedly agree. And another
Thank you.
factor that you're not, you might not be calculating, he killed himself. He unlived himself. So maybe he was also going through some mental. Because one thing about fame, and it has its perks and it has its peaks and its valleys, and those valleys are dark
Very, very dark.
because especially if you're used to being on top of the world, and now if you look at it, you have been diminished to just being able to sign autographs to try and make a living. And it's not really sustaining the living that you are used to because it's not able to. And so while everybody's looking at you um, and praising and thinking of things, but you're like, man, you have fallen from grace in your mind. That's why fame is so challenging because that coming down from that top, it can be very mentally exhausting and mentally challenging. Why you see so many people unlife themselves when you think they're on top of the world because their world is crumbling. You got to think if you had a $10,000 mortgage that you were affording for 5, 10 years, and now you still have that $10,000 mortgage, but you don't have that pay scale to be able to sustain it, and you have to fly around constantly to try and even get close to it. There's a lot of things that factors that you have to calculate in those circumstances.
So the little bit I do know about him, his personal life was he was actually doing really well for himself. So when I met him, mental wasn't an issue. It was 5 or 6 years later that he was having issues with his second wife, when he was having issues. The other one he was married to, up to the day he committed suicide. One thing I do want to say out there, and whoever's watching this, please, please, I beg you, if you're having issues, struggling, reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk to you. Anybody of my guests, they'll be happy to talk to you. If you don't want to talk to us, that's fine. There are hotlines, there are people. Please, that is not the answer. Never is the answer to do that. Mental health is not a fucking joke. I'm serious. I am talking about personal experience. I was the one on both sides of the fence saying, "Oh, that's a fucking joke. Be a man." No, it's not a fucking joke. If you have issues, and I had issues, I went to a therapist. Go see help. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's better seeing help than talking to your own family or friends because they don't judge. You can vent and move on with your day. So, you got anything on that, or do I got it pretty good?
I agree. I agree. You never know what someone is going through. You never know the extent. Like I said, you just mentioned he was doing very good for himself
Hmm.
in your eyes. I find joy, and I found joy when I was quasi famous in not being recognized. So just imagine those people who can't do what I can do and hide, under the fact that I'm not that famous. So not everybody knows me and I can disguise that. But think of those who can't disguise it. Think of a Michael Jackson where he had to disguise himself just to walk outside.
You have a really good point there, because not anybody can walk down the street and say, I'm going to get a Pepsi or Coke or a hoagie or whatever. They have to literally camouflage. There's very few people who can walk down the street and still be famous. I always said I never want to be famous. I want to be rich, but not famous. So I remember these
Right.
two comments. Actually, they're very important comments. So Kat says, "This is why mental health is very important. Doesn't who is famous or not." I agree.
Doesn't
So
matter
here's the
who
idea.
is famous or not.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Hmm.
And he follows up with, "Doesn't matter who it is. End of the day, mental health does not target you because you're Greek, or you're bald headed, or you're tall, you're short. Mental health comes at you no matter what you are. So I think after COVID, we took it a lot more serious, but we never did take it seriously. And I think now a lot of people are taking it very seriously. Like, yo, this is actually a real thing, a real problem. And people, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if it's COVID. I think it might have more to do with social media because it started becoming more prevalent and more prior to COVID. Where mental health was starting to be examined a little bit closer because of, I think, social media and how they were able to see how many people were challenged with mental issues.
I'm going to say something right now. When I was younger, I dated a girl. We were a little different, but it wasn't like a fling thing. It wasn't really a serious thing. She was going to be a therapist. She goes to me. I used to break her jobs all the time. Because how you're going to be a therapist, you can't, you have, anxiety. She has mental issues. Nothing like seriously, it's controllable stuff. And I was very naive saying that, because I said to her she couldn't be a therapist. She has anxiety. Who the fuck am I saying that? Now that I look back, and I have reached out to her a couple years, 2 3 years ago, and I did apologize to her. Listen, I'm sorry about what I said back then, because I was a complete douchebag, and she accepted my apology. But my point trying to get to that is, sometimes a therapist who's went through something is a better therapist who has not been through stuff. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
It makes sense. That's with any profession, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the experiences, like me, for example, being an artist, speaking to an artist, and being an executive at a label, speaking to an artist, I can have a broader perspective from the experiences of being an artist and or executive. So I can speak from a two different standpoints that can be valuable to somebody pursuing those careers. So yes, it does help out, and not that I was a successful and most successful artist ever, or most successful executive ever, but the point being is that what I learned through those experiences, I literally spoke with a former artist who I used to work with. He's now the head of a label. Like, yo, Sean B, I gotta bring you in as soon as we get things rolling. Cause man, you taught me a whole lot. Cause I was speaking to him as an artist when I was an executive, and there was one time we happened to be on a plane together. Um, we didn't even know it wasn't booked that way, but we wound up sitting next to each other the whole flight, and he was coming back from New York to go do a video. And I was the person who was running the department. And I said, look, I don't have the leverage to change their mind right now, but you do. And I said, right now, they're going to destroy your career because they're taking too big of a leap. You went from a song that was kind of mainstream, and now you're going to like a pop song, and you haven't even created your foundation yet. So they bring you to this pop level, and all of the people just warming up to you, it's going to turn them off. And he was like, to this day, he tells me, man, I should listen to you because you told me and you was absolutely right. Because he had some other records that would have been a better transition to that pop song, as opposed to where he could have secured his core audiences. But I learned all of that through being an artist and changing from an artist to an executive. I understood the power of the artist that he didn't understand at that point. He didn't recognize how powerful he was, his voice, how powerful his voice as an artist was. And I did, because I was that voice at one point. And now I'm the executive and I don't have the voice, even though I'm running a department. There are people who already invested in this high class video and this is what they wanted, that he could at least say, yo, let's do two versions of the video. Let's do the pop one and let's do a little underground one where we could put them both out at the same time, so I could secure my underground audience as well as, start introducing myself to a pop audience. But only he could have said that and demanded that.
That's one thing about I know this is kind of like a different genre a little bit. Have you heard of Five Finger Death Punch?
Yes.
If you really read about their music, when they make a song, they always come out like 3 or 4 versions of it. A very heavy version, a very soft version, a very metal version. That's one thing about them I really like. They try to be global for a little bit of everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to touch base. You said mentioned before about social media, how mental health affects that. Because if we don't change that, again, we'll go back to change. We're going to be going in circles, I think. So the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I again, I said earlier, we don't mature with age or experience. We mature with mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And changing your mentality on about social media is the key to what you're speaking of. It can destroy you if you don't understand the value or the operations of how it works. Because it can make you famous, and that's one thing that people are not prepared for, is fame. That's a hell of a drug, as Jay-Z said once in the song. Stronger than heroin. When you look in the mirror and say, "Here I am," and not realize what you become. Yeah, it's really, but you don't know that. And so I emphasize that because I do understand it now. And social media is providing those stages and those uh, ideas. You think you're more famous than you actually are, because people are liking you and bringing an attention. You're garnishing attention that you never had before. So you're feeling really famous, and technically, you are famous, but it doesn't sustain finances all the time. It doesn't. You can be popular, to your point earlier, and be broke. And that's why I just finished what my topic about on my straight talk was financial intelligence. And I had to learn to change and understand financial intelligence because that hasn't been my forte. So, my old accountant helped me change, and my ex helped me change as far as financially getting intelligent about how to better invest, how to better save, how to better um, budget. And so those changes are necessary, and I still have change to do. I'm still growing and maturing in those areas. So change, as we said earlier, is ongoing.
I agree. We need to stop watching these. I don't want to say watching. Let me rephrase that. Believing in these every social media person. You can see me. Listen, I live in a small apartment. This is what I have. I'm not trying to be any famous person or anything. I'm just trying to have a little fun in the process. But the problem I have with all these, YouTubers and all that stuff, not all of them, but most of them, they promote something else. Like the one guy I used to follow, I can't stand him anymore. Nothing against him. Create a great brand for himself. It's always every time he does a video, he's selling something, and it's starting to get on my last fucking every time I watch it. Alpha Man, I think he's called. Something like that. I think I'm gonna look it up if I can find it really. I think it's Alpha, if I'm
I,
not mistaken.
I'm not familiar, but go ahead.
Anyway, and every time every time he does any video, he's talking about, say, beers. This beer. Girl loves this kind of beer. You're gonna be your best man. Yada yada yada. And he brings his Brio out, one of the best beer drinkers in the market right now. And he goes, that's why you should have a Brio. And he goes, for 40 minutes in the video. The video is like about, not 40 minutes. For 5 minutes out of a 40-minute video, he goes, well, this is why you should get the Brio. Da, 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 da. Here's my promo code. Hit this code. I'm like, okay, first of all, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying promo codes like we were talking about earlier. I mean, you can hook up and do something like that. Cool. But is it every fucking goddamn fucking video? You see where I'm going with this?
I do, but the funny thing is, yes, because it's a business for him.
Yeah.
And that's why he's able to make the money that he's making. And part of the change that we're talking about, the financial intelligence, is understanding why you're in it. And if you're in it for the creative side, then understand might not be any revenue behind creativity. It often isn't. Most creatives become richer after they pass away.
That is facts too. I hear that all the time. Well,
Yeah.
people don't get discovered till after you take a shit. And like you buy to go. Listen, I said it before. I said it again. Like I might do YouTube things, stuff like that, but I don't care about getting famous. I don't. I'm just if I can affect one or two people, great. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing this now. I remember when I first started, like I said, I was very nervous. I didn't want to do this.
Mhm.
But I'm also a big believer. Money does not make happiness. It makes you comfortable, but not happiness. What do you think about that?
I'm a very firm believer now. I think I mentioned something in that vein as well earlier. When I said a lot of my friends and people that I've seen come up have achieved a lot of accolades, a lot of riches and success, and don't seemingly uh, haven't seemingly reached um, a balance of contentment and a balance of happiness. So I understand and I see them go through it who have all the money in the world. They have everything that I don't, but they don't have, like I said, the liberty of being able to walk outside without having to worry about who sees you or what you're doing. Or it's something we take for granted
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of celebrities don't have. And it's not something that makes you happy if that's how you started out, just being able to do what you want. And now you can't do anything without kind of being self conscious about it. Cash said anyone could advertise and market the product on YouTube or any social media platform. True that. I
So
agree.
when I
But
was, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sean. Go ahead. You
no,
go
I was
first.
going to say I agree, but there's a talent in people who, uh, what you was just describing, there's a talent in that. Somebody who is marketing all the time and selling things all the time and achieving people to buy into it.
So when I first launched this channel, I wasn't sure what direction I was going to go with it. So I started doing what I know best: beards, hair, grooming. Obviously, grooming reviews. Just a little inside there. Anyway, So I every product I ever recommended, I never got a kickback. I was doing it because I wanted to teach people how to take care of a beard. Most people don't. Most men don't know. Like Sean, you have a decent facial hair. What kind of wash do you use on your beard?
Soap and
That's what
water.
exactly. So you
Yeah,
don't know about beer wash. You don't know about beer
not at
oil.
all.
You don't know about beer bong or beer butter.
Not at all.
So that's my point. By the way, if you need advice on your beard, come see me. I'm
All
pretty
right.
cheap. Don't worry. No, seriously. So that's why I started. Like I tried all different buzzers. I tried. Trust me, the first fucking year, this channel was cost me more money than anything. So there are products I tried. Like this guy's product. I'm Alpha guy, Alpha whatever his name is. He has a decent skin product. He says, okay. I hated his skincare product with a passion. I told everybody who did try it to stay away from it because when I got it, put it on, it broke me out even more. I always break out right here in the forehead. I want to use that as an example because you might say they recommend all these products, but how many do they actually use the products on a daily basis?
Well, you're speaking from a standpoint of what are they? Integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And this business doesn't have integrity. Salesmen, their job isn't to have integrity. Their job is to sell. Now, spokespeople, their job is more integrity based often. But what you were describing and what I was saying is a talent is a salesperson. That's their talent, not a spokesperson. But they sometimes are synonymous. But if you separate it, you'll be able to understand the two different personalities. You were speaking from the standpoint of a spokesperson. Your guy who you just described sounds like he's speaking from the standpoint of a salesperson.
100%. So his channel is called Alpha M. Again, I'm not trying to batch guy. I'm using him as my reference point. I'm going to use Dan C. Beard also as a reference point. I know for a fact anything Dan C. because I actually spoke to him personally. Anything he recommends, he uses it. He backs up 100%. Salute. So he has the same idea that I do. If I'm gonna recommend something, I want to use it, make sure it's tested, and I'm being the goddamn guinea pig.
Hmm.
Kind of scary a little bit, but you know my point. But this guy Alpha M, again, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. He made a name for himself. He has a business. He has 5 different businesses. He has a cologne business. He has a skincare business. I don't know what else business he has. He has a bunch of stuff. I know, but my point is trying to get with that was I don't feel comfortable recommending a product online and cheap with say okay you came to my channel first time, Sean. I'm gonna say, hey, let's try this bottle. You know, this is the best thing that ever came in, better than water ever invented, and all of this stuff. Like end of the day, it just that's a bottle of water. Nothing big deal about it. Nothing special. But I can make $5 per bottle because we sell it for 20. I can't do that. Maybe I have
Well,
a guilty conscience.
and again, I, I I I can appreciate your talent, which is you have a talent rooted in integrity. I have the same talent, so I can appreciate that. I'm the same way. But what I've learned to appreciate is what I'm not as well, and where I don't have the skill to do, which is being a salesperson and just selling anything just because a lot of people, that's how they want to buy things. They don't want the real about it. They want the hype. And so do I, so then I'm a failure by giving them the real. So when I see people who successfully give them what they want, I give them their props for being able to do that because I can't do that, like you just said. So that's why I separated from a salesperson to a spokesperson. Because as a salesperson, that's just not what you are. But you'll make a hell of a spokesperson because you're going to believe and you're going to have integrity about the products that you're speaking about.
That's the thing. I need when anytime I recommend a product to anybody, yourself, YouTube, on not YouTube, Facebook, anything, I gotta back it, 100%. I cannot just do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sharing with you. It makes all the sense in the world. It's integrity based, and I
Yeah.
salute that. You know, that's a talent in itself, if you ask me. But I don't. It doesn't negate the talent of those. Like I know people who lie through their teeth as salespeople. I don't have that in me. When I was a record promoter, and I didn't say that I loved the song that I hated. I would say, "Yeah, I don't really like the song, but I need you to play it to see if your audience like it." That would be my approach. So it kind of catches them off guard, but they play it just simply because I'm not trying to sell it to them. Whereas my partner at the label, and we was partners in running the department, he is, yo, this is the dopest thing. Da, 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 da," and he was very hyped and animated about it and all of these things that I wasn't. And what I learned is that we both have an audience. There's people who I had to talk down off of the cliff who was ready to flip out on him because they felt that he was bullshitting them. And I'm like, yo, that's just him. Yeah, da, 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 da. You know, and I had to simmer them down, and that was my talent. And there was people who uh hated me because I would tell them, yo, I don't like your song, and they would, oh, yo, he ain't like my song. He ain't gonna promote. No, I didn't say I ain't gonna promote it. I just said I don't particularly like it because that's my opinion. But am I gonna do the best to make sure I get into the audiences that do like it? Absolutely, because it ain't about me liking it, and it ain't about how good a song is. It's about finding an audience for the song, because every song has an audience.
Well, here's the thing with that. This is how I process it in my mind. So we have a song here. I'm gonna say, let's say "Going to the Distance." Okay, for argument's sakes. To me, is one of the most beautiful songs I ever hear. To me, you go like, dude, this is fucking whack. Everybody has different tastes. You gotta keep that in mind too.
That's what I just said. I have it high on my mind. My point is that because of what you just said, that means that there's an audience for everyone. So
Hundred percent.
I'm not looking for the audience of Sean who don't like it. I'm looking for the audience of grown men who do. So I'm not bringing it to Sean. I'm bringing it to grown. And I'm like, oh, yo, you'll like this. Even though Sean, I don't like it, but I know you would. So my job then becomes as a marketing and or promotion person is not to like the song, but to find the audience in a place that does like it.
Mm-hmm.
So you are that audience in that case. And a lot of my other people who I know that ain't I would never bring it. I'm like, yeah, I know they ain't gonna like it. But I found my people who like my stuff and let me get them as much of this stuff as possible. I'm gonna get you the song. I'm gonna get you the T-shirt. I'm gonna get you the stickers. I'm gonna get you the guys or to come autograph your forehead, your all of the stuff that I send you because I know that you are going to like this stuff. And now I can give you extra special treatment because I have access to this treatment early on, to where now you don't just like the song, but you love them.
That's where. That's what was my point. I was trying to get to. Like, what kind of music are you into, Sean? Let's go. Let's go off that for a second.
Variety, variety. Right now, I find myself listening to 70 to 90s R&B and funk.
Okay, as long as you didn't say jazz, I was gonna buzz you for a minute. Like, if you said jazz, we're gonna. I don't know, man. We can't be friends if you're looking into jazz.
Well, I love jazz,
Nah,
absolutely.
just
I
kidding.
actually do because my father was a musician and I come from a very musical inclined background because of that. And so jazz is musical, and so I enjoy the instrumentation and the different cadences and varieties. So I appreciate that type of stuff.
Let me ask you a question. As an artist yourself, as a producer and all that stuff, jazz is that originally color music? I would say
Yeah,
like back what like in the 40s we're talking about now,
probably the 20s.
20s. I was always curious because I don't know the history behind jazz. It's not like I can tell you rock and metal all you want. That's my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying?
Now, where you think that came from?
Go ahead, educate me.
In all actuality, that also came from color, as you would say.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, there's been a more recent post of Led Zeppelin and the original sound that they emulated and stole from, actually. And one of the lead uh, guitar player in Led was like, it's only stealing when you're caught. And they played the original riffs that a lot of the hit songs came from, and it came from some I want to say blues um, musicians. I'll look for the post and see if I can find it to send it to you at some
Yeah,
point.
please. I actually that's very fascinating because I want to hear that
I
because
literally I know where it is, so I'll send it to you after we get off.
because I think music is a great outlet. That's my
I
personal
agree.
opinion again. Because you can even gaming. Those are two outlets I would say everybody needs to have at least one or the other. Because think about it, you're having a bad day, you can put a music on a song and you can just decompress. Same thing with a game. You can plug in a game. I don't care if it's old school, new school, or mid school. You can put the game in and just zone out for a little bit and just forget about the day. Fuck the day. Pretend you're somebody else for a little bit. Doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah,
And having proven, you know, gaming actually develops your mind more than anything now. They actually
yeah.
are for it now. Do you remember back in the day when they say, "Don't play those games because they're gonna write your brain out"?
Uh-huh.
And now they're telling us, "Go play those games because they'll make you smarter." I'm like, get the fuck out of
That's
here,
fire.
man! Like, I can't want to
That's
hear
fire.
shit. One minute you tell me I'm gonna write my head off. One minute you're gonna tell me pick one, man. Pick one. One or the other, man. Can't have it both.
Yeah,
So let's get back to some
yeah.
of these questions here. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and my phone is dying, so I might, and I don't have my cord, but I'm at let me see how much percentage I am. It's less than 10%, but let's get to it. Let's see what I can stay on for.
All right. Motivation. I keep you that one. I know that's one topic you love talking about. How do you keep motivated and change at the same time?
I'm motivated to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I find value in change. I was literally talking to my ex earlier today, and she gets annoyed that I'm always challenging her to change and to mature, and feels like I'm attacking her when that's just what I do. I'm looking to change. I'm looking for her to help me change. I'm looking for me to help her change. I'm looking for change every day. I'm looking for what lesson did I learn yesterday? What lesson did I learn earlier today? What lesson did I learn through this conversation that you and I are having? I look
Mm-hmm.
forward to change. I look for forward to learning and changing my viewpoint, my perspective, my knowledge and insight about things. So that's my motivation is the desire to learn.
Yes, but this is my little add-on to that. I agree with everything you're saying. It also helps you have a good support group when you're trying to keep motivated and change. Like, for example, I'm in a part of my life right now. Like, as much as I love cooking, I need to change a career. At 38 years old, I'm gonna be out public. I need a goddamn change career. Simple. I haven't picked which direction I'm gonna go yet. I'm always thinking maybe this one or this one or that one or this one. I haven't picked yet. So let's say for right now, for our discussion is, let's say I have made my mind. Let's head down to three people who are my friends. I call my brothers. sisters, loved ones, or whatever. They support me whatever I do. Fail or crash. I know they got my back. And that's what makes me keep going harder because I don't want to let them down. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, if that's your motivation, I was gonna try and change your perspective on.
Please do.
You said needing another job. I wouldn't say maybe you need to change your perspective on what you're doing, because that's a talent that you have, and you've been honing in on that talent for quite some years, to where now you're bored with that talent. But it doesn't negate the fact that how talented it is, how talented you are. So maybe you need to uh, think about a new place for your talent other than a job.
So I want to say I'm bored of it. I still enjoy doing it when I do. But it's getting to the point like I hit the max of money I can make. I can't make any more than that.
That's
Right?
not true. You got superstar chefs, Wolfgang Puck. What Mac did you hit his plateau yet?
No, not hit that plateau. I wish I can get that high.
Well. Then my point being I'm challenging your statement
Hmm.
and you're changing your perspective on it. That is a plateau. You actually can hit through your taking on this podcast scenario. You can shift and start applying some of what you do and doing it online and seeing people do what you actually do. Put on your uniform from a past job or something and show you actually are a culinary and a chef and do what you do. People gonna be like, "Wow, Gorman, I never knew you could do it like that." You'll be surprised how well and received you might get and how that might monetize you more so than just speaking.
You know, it's funny you say that. I just had the same conversation at work today with somebody. With these, I call them, well, at least I call them, I can't say we, I call them the 1% chefs. The 1% chefs are, 5 star. They run like Vegas hotels, they make millions in a year. And people ask me, what's the chance that anybody getting that level? It's possible. I don't know the chances. Is it like 1 out of 10 or 20? I don't know. I don't know the odds. I don't. The only odd I know is you're looking in the mirror. That's your enemy. If your enemy yourself says I cannot do it, that's your enemy. So what's holding you back is you.
I wholeheartedly agree, and that's why I'm encouraging you to change holding yourself back, because you have the outlets, you have the talents and abilities, and really you just need to showcase them to the right audiences, like I was sharing earlier. You got to realize a lot of people you're speaking about, I have seen and helped people get from nobodies to superstars, not stars, superstars.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see a talent, or and all it was is just exposing their talent to the right audiences, and then their audiences grew because their talent was just that. So I've seen people go from zero to billionaires now, literally. And so when I share, and all it was is their talent was exposed, and then when they got some momentum, their lessons and experiences helped to build their finances and multiply their finances because of that financial intelligence. And they were able, because a lot of them had lost and then regained.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll use Dr. Dre as an example. Dr. Dre, after Death Row, was on a cutting board. People did not want to mess with him after when he first launched Aftermath. He wasn't having the success. Death Row was still lingering and dissing him, and Tupac was California Love, and then going at his head because he split up with Death Row. So you got to realize this is a guy that was on top of the world with the Chronic and NWA and so on and so forth, and then lost it when he separated. Jimmy gave him 50 million to start his own label. The first album flopped. which was called The Aftermath. He had two albums that came out on Aftermath before Eminem. Well, he had a couple of things, but the two albums were The Firm, which was supposed to be a genius thing with Foxy Brown and Nas, blah, 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 that failed. Then he had The Aftermath, where he had Been There, Done That, was the lead single, but he didn't have anything to follow up that single. That album went platinum, but after going multi-platinum, platinum is a failure. So he was really on the brinks of losing and not having everything because he spent a lot of that 50 million trying to launch everything and sustain his lifestyle and things of that nature. And Jimmy was looking to cut a deal with anybody for like $2 million, and nobody wanted to invest. Jimmy was like, "Yo, we could go partners. You can take some of this weight off of me, this investment that I made to help me out." And nobody wanted to do that. And I know this because I was running a label that got offered it, and they were like, "Nah, we don't want to do it." And they were an independent label, not even a major.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that to say, if it wasn't for this little guy named Eminem rejuvenating his whole experience in the industry, Dre was on his way out. Now Dre's a billionaire. So that's why I'm saying I've seen people go, and really it was just about exposing the right things to the right people. So with that being said, I don't know what your culinary skills are, but you shared with me that they're uh, very elevated. And I'm saying if that's the case, then I should know it. Why? Because you should be showcasing it to me.
I never thought like that. You actually give me different ideas because, like my channel lately has been in a little limbo, I would say, because I'm doing something different. I'm not doing the videos anymore. I'm doing the live streams only now. Maybe I should do recordings again, but maybe I should cook a little bit and show off a little of my skills.
Absolutely, because I've been talking with you forever. All I've heard about it, but I've never seen it.
I think it's
I
time
don't
for
even
me.
know what you cook. I don't even know what you can cook. And from what you told me, you could cook anything very well.
Pretty much. The only thing I haven't mastered yet is one thing, and I'm working on it. Is sushi. I have not mastered that yet. So that's a technique itself because it's the way you have to roll it and everything. So except that, I have done orange chicken. I done lasagna. I My fried chicken is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like
Well, I'm just sharing with you. I hear you. Why not showcase it? Put together some combinations of tastes that maybe people aren't familiar with that you can specialize in.
yeah, because Greek, for example, because I am 100% Greek. They did not allow real Greek chefs online. I realize that.
Well, there's an opening.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's read some
Sometimes
comments.
in life
Go
you
ahead.
have to reinvent yourself to do something better by brainstorming ideas till you find your niche. Agreed, Cash. And here we are in the midst of how change happens,
Yeah.
just by opening up to conversation and opening up to embracing change, changing your mind, changing your
Hmm.
perspective, changing your thought pattern. And that's why I said earlier, mindset.
So let's read some of his comments before we go move on, because I got one more question and we'll call it after that. Thank God for music. Imagine the world with no music. We will not exist. Music helps everything from helping you relax to motivation music. 100%
Absolutely.
agreed.
Absolutely.
With the right
And the
song.
last,
Go ahead, Sean.
I
You go
agree.
first.
No, I was going to just say that what I just said was me reading Cash's next comment prior to you saying it.
Yeah. So I want to touch base on the motivation part. If you think about it, I don't know if you ever typed in like say motivation workout videos to get you going to work out. If there was no music in the background, that would be the most boring fucking motivation video. I'll be straight up with you.
Got a point.
So, and the last comment he says, sometimes in life you have to review yourself to do something better by brainstorm ideas till you find your niche. And you know what? I gotta give you guys
That
both
that's
credit.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. I was
Yeah.
reading his comment when he posted. Sometimes in your life, you have to reinvent yourself to do something better by brainstorming ideas till you find your niche. And I was like, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're on the same page. Go ahead.
So I gotta give you credit. You guys made me start thinking now. So when this gears work, technically I got all the gear. Nothing's holding me back but me now. So it's up to me to actually start showing off a little bit.
There you
So the
go.
last question I got for you, Sean. Now, I mean that's it for tonight.
Yes.
We'll go in final thoughts after that. Hopefully your battery lasts through that. Is
Well, it actually just said 10% about a minute ago.
okay.
It popped up. Go ahead.
So when it comes to a brand new relationship, over relationship, or what kind, any kind of relationship, what does it play in the success of navigating into a change in your everyday life?
Uh, the play to succeed is paying attention to the details of that person that you're getting in a relationship with. Um, Intentionally paying attention to what it is that they like, not what it is that you know that you have had success with in the past, but change by recognizing or identifying what it is that they like and start trying to implement those things to have success with the relationship with that person.
Mm-hmm. So here's where how I look at it. In any relationship, I don't care what it is, you have to be non-selfish person. Mandarin told me that when he started his he just got married recently, and I thought about that. And you're right. You have to help the other person, upraise them, whatever they're in limbo in the careers or they need a change or whatever the case is. If they need change, help them, guide them through that change. And sometimes a little push doesn't hurt either, right, Sean?
I agree wholeheartedly. And you said, I believe any relationship, once you enter into a relationship, selflessness is mandatory. Selfishness is exactly what that is when you're by yourself. But when you choose to get into a relationship, that you should be choosing to change that on our topic to become selflessness and start really considering someone other than yourself. That's the change that's necessary
Yeah.
to have the
And
success that.
when you do change, or be non-selfish, or say, let me phrase that, and you help person change, wife, boyfriend, whatever. If you stay together, don't together, that's a whole different story. That's a different topic. I bet you 10, 20 years later, if you're not together, they're going to still remember you and they will always thank you for that.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. When you deal with a broken person, that's the only person who can embrace the change, who can embrace wanting to mature, and they don't always recognize that they're broken. But a lot of us do come into relationships broken because we don't realize that our last relationship we are unhealed from. And, you know, changing that thought pattern by awareness, like we spoke about earlier, is part of how you can have success in the relationship. So, to Mandom's point, yes, once you engage into a relationship, however you want to identify it, marriage, etc. Um, the change is start considering something or someone other than what you already have been doing, is which is considering yourself only.
I agree. I agree 100%. For that point, let's give our final thoughts and get the fuck out of here. What do you think?
Here we go. Let's do it.
All right. You
My
want to go first?
final thought, yeah,
You go
my
first. Go ahead.
final thought is the essence of maturity is change. The essence of maturation is change. A.R. Bernard. That's where I got that quote from, and that's my final thought.
Oh, let me get you back here. Hang on a second. There we go. So, change, embrace it, welcome it. It's a journey that is only one person can achieve. It's yourself. If you need help, there's nothing wrong asking for a little help during that journey. If you need a holding hand, a cry on the shoulder, you got a friend. Somebody's gonna be there. If you don't, give me a call. I'll let you cry on my shoulder. I'll give you a hug. Whatever you guys need, we're always here for everybody. This is why I do so many different topics. So, what do you think? Next week, you want to do a little music show?
I'm with it. Like I
All right,
said, I usually do my straight talk. I want to figure out how we can
co-stream.
send it to both our, yeah, how we can dual
I can
stream
do
it.
it through this new platform I'm using. I will talk to you
Okay.
off the air on that because I gotta do a couple things on that. So
All right,
let's
cool.
end it and we have our little side conversation. All right, guys.
All right.
I am Grooming Reviews, aka Ghost Aspire. He is wrong way. Sean.
Sean Bolden, aka Sean B, however you know me. Don't forget
So,
H2O, CBD infused water in the area near you, out here in Southern California right now, significantly, but coming to your marketplace as well.
except that, guys, as always, stay safe, stay good, and as always, see you guys on the next one.